Ooh. Um, oof. Oh, that's too hard. I can't. I can't do it. That's too hard. I have a lot, but I stick probably with my siblings and my family. Um, uh, the Williams sisters, LeBron James. I mean, I could go on. Ooh, Brenda Villa, my sister, my dad, Tony Azevedo. I had four. Uh, I'm remembering at the Olympics in 2012, I was guarding Barbara, the Hungarian center, for like the whole game, and that was one of the most like tough games, just guarding her up and down, up and down. Um, I'm gonna go with. Oh, that's hard. Either the goal to win NC2As for Stanford, or probably I had this like near side lob against Australia in the semifinals in the 2012 Olympics. And that was like the epitome of me just like flowing, just having fun playing. So probably those two came to mind. My biggest strength is probably my will, my teamwork with that. Adam Krikorian speaking in my head. But I would say probably my biggest weakness is getting too excited about something and doing it too fast. Yeah, I actually can remember kind of a blend of things. So I started actually playing the sport of water polo when I was 8. But before that, I was really familiar with water sport in general and then the actual water polo ball. So, like you had mentioned, my dad's from Puerto Rico. He played on the Puerto Rican national team, he played at Cal Berkeley. And my mom is actually one of 13. She has a huge family, and all of her brothers also played at Cal Berkeley. So my uncles and my dad all played together at Cal. And so I remember really when I was really little, always having water polo balls around the house. Like even when I was a baby, just seeing that yellow ball and kicking it like a soccer ball or playing with it like it was a basketball. Um, and then finally kind of getting to see what water polo was when we would go watch Cal water polo games, the men's team specifically. And when I was 8, Maureen O'Toole, who is actually a 2000 silver medalist from the USA women's water polo team, she came to my small hometown and started Diablo Water Polo, which was the club I played for all growing up. And I figured, let's give it a try. I am really familiar with this whole yellow water polo ball thing. I'm not really sure exactly what the sport is. I'm still really young, but I knew it was kind of in my family, it was in my blood, and decided to give it a go. So, yeah, I was 8 years old when I started. And I'll tell you that at the time, there was no young teams in America. They have like splash ball, which is 10 and under, 12 and under, 14 under, all the way up. And at the time, there was only 18 and under. So I was a little 8-year-old playing against 18-year-old boys and girls because there wasn't enough water polo to have just a girls program or just a boys program. So I was very bad when I started. And I just remember kind of getting beat up and being at practice so I could be with my family. And eventually that turned into my full on passion and obviously now my job. So started really young and was really familiar with it because of my family. Got thrown into a 18 and under co-ed team and just kind of took off from there. Yeah, so she started around the same time, but she's 6 years older. So I think that's something that's really interesting about both our stories. And I think it's really important for young kids to hear who want to go to the Olympics or do want to have success is you don't have to start at a certain age or you don't have to be fully committed to one sport at a young age. Yes, I was 8 when I started. And like you said, I always played against older people, which I try to do. If I can play against people who are better, stronger, smarter, faster than me, I'm going to improve, right? Like I'll probably get beat up. I'll probably lose every time, but I'm going to get better. And so I was really lucky to start at such a young age and get that exposure. But my sister's 6 years older than me. So she was 14 when she started, which is high school. And she also went to Stanford. She's also a 2-time Olympic medalist. So I think that's really cool to see, and for young kids to realize it's never too late to start the sport. And just because you started later or started earlier doesn't mean, you might not have that Olympic dream. I started 18 under co-ed at 8. So I got really comfortable with just going up against a guy 10 years older than me, 3 times my size, 80 times my strength, way smarter. And so that was kind of fun too, because I started to love the idea of the challenge, right? Even if I didn't know or think I could win that challenge, just the idea of loving it. And I would get torn underwater and, somersaults, and he would kick off me and go on a counterattack. And I was like the little puppy dog, like, oh, that was so fun, because I realized you can have so many challenges in water polo, but the game keeps going. And that's something I really, really enjoyed is, it takes basketball, at least for the States. These are the sports I played growing up. I played soccer, football, basketball, swimming. I even did gymnastics. I did dance. And so water polo kind of took all of the sports I really loved and put it all in one. And so I think for me, that was one thing I loved right away, was just the idea of the sport and how it took all of these facets from different land sports. And then obviously swimming that I loved, the strategy of it, going up and down. Like I mentioned, you could get beat up or scored on, but it didn't matter because the game keeps going. It's very quick paced. So I would say that the sport itself, I really, really loved right away. And the idea of the challenge of it, I loved. And then second, it is a family sport. So for me, water polo is all about family. And if you've ever met my family, or even if you've talked to me, the most important thing of family is that it's a team, and to me, being a part of a team in general is the most magical thing you can have in life. And my first team obviously is my family, the Steffens family and the Schnug family as well. And water polo really ties that in. You can't win water polo with one player or 3 or 5, right? You have to have everybody on the team, and you have to work so well together in order for things to happen. And that endless movement between people, that harmony of teamwork was something I really loved. So just the aspect of team. And then I love the people. I love the people in the water polo community. There's this like joy and family focus, I feel like, for those who do play water polo. And right away, I met some of my best friends to this day. And so for me, those kind of 3 facets were really important at a young age, and still. So like I mentioned, Maureen O'Toole, who is a silver medalist from the 2000 Olympics and one of the best players of all time. She was also 40 at the Olympic Games, which I think is really inspiring. And I'm, 27, and I can't even imagine being 40 and still playing this sport. It's so tough. So she was a huge mentor to me. And she was the first like real Olympian. Same with my uncle, Peter Schnug, who I got to meet. And so that kind of kick-started that Olympic dream. Being able to see it, like you're talking about with kids, it's so important at the youth level to see a mentor, to see a role model, and be able to tell yourself, hey, maybe I can do that, right? And I got that with Maureen O'Toole, and my uncle, Peter Schnug. My dad, Carlos Steffens, he was never my like official coach, but he was always coaching, teaching me so many tricks of the game. And for me, the main thing he always taught me was effort. And hopefully anybody who's watched me play knows that I will give my full effort every single play, every single game. And that's something my dad really instilled in our Steffens name. Jim Purcell was also one of my younger coaches. And those were really the ones who, pushed me and led me at that young age, and all my siblings. So those were my main coaches growing up.
Okay.
I'll say one fun fact that I think you'll like. My Jessica, my older sister, coached me actually at the 12 and under Junior Olympics. So she was also one of my coaches. Um, Water polo for the Steffens family and the Schnug family, which is my mom's maiden name, the one with 13 kids. Water polo is a family affair. And so Jessica, my oldest sister, really paved the path. And as any older sibling does, and I think it's so important for those of you who are playing water polo and you are a sibling, knowing how important it is to lead your family in that way. So that's what Jess did to us. She paved the way, to Stanford, to the Olympics, to the national team. My brother, Charlie Steffens, followed right behind her. He played water polo all growing up, was on the junior national team, was on the senior national team, and played at Cal Berkeley. And he was captain of the Cal men's team. And he's somebody for me that I look up to a ton. He's like my wise older brother. He would be the one who, we had a backyard pool and we had, the anti-wave goal in the pool. And my brother always would get in with me and shoot, and he was always kind of, like I said, I loved the challenge. He'd always beat me, right? He'd put me in the cage. I'd play goalie and we'd play games like, all right, 5 alive or whatever it was. Charlie was always the one willing to work out with me and push me and teach me so many things about the sport. But not as many people know about him because he wasn't an Olympian like Jessica and myself. So he's been a huge part of my water polo career, and actually was somebody who I worked with a lot, especially at a younger age. And then my other sister, Teresa Steffens, is 2 years older than me. She also played water polo. We played together in high school. So we were teammates in high school. We won our division championships all through high school. She was on like the zone Olympic development program teams as well. And she went to Cal to play water polo, but ended up retiring, after her first year, and decided to kind of become more of the water polo fan in the family. So she is somebody that pushed me a lot when I was younger, especially as teammates. Like we would get after it with one another. But she's my biggest fan and my biggest support system. And it's nice because she played the sport at such a high level. She can understand and talk with me in high pressure situations. And just to have that resource has been really nice. So you'll see all of them in the stands, all my siblings. They are my biggest support system, but were my biggest challengers growing up. Like I learned everything from Mo, obviously my coach, but also like my dad, my mom, and my siblings. Like those were my real coaches at at that young age. Growing up, I always went to Cal water polo games, and I was a Cal Berkeley fan. And for those who don't know, Cal and Stanford are total rivals. So I grew up, hating Stanford and only thinking I'll go to Cal. And my mom, who had 12 or has 12 siblings, I want to say like 10 of them went to Cal, and I have 40 cousins, and probably 60% of them went to Cal. So we are a Cal aquatic family. And Jess, my oldest sister, who I talk about always paving the way, she actually was the first one ever to say, you know what, I'm going to try this whole rival Stanford thing. And the second I saw the Stanford campus and saw her experience at Stanford, I knew that was the right place for me. So we're a split family. Both my parents went to Cal. My 2 other siblings went to Cal, and then me and Jess are the only Stanford Cardinal. So it can get a bit heated on football game days and stuff like that, but it's fun. I mean, when I first saw Stanford itself, I think wow is the easiest way to put it. It is one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. It's my favorite pool I would say it's real close with Margate Island in Budapest for favorite pool to play in a water polo game, because it's feels like a stadium for water polo, and it's Stanford is just beautiful. So I just loved the idea of getting to play there and the opportunity to be at Stanford. But in terms of high school to college, it's a huge jump. So college water polo is super high level. It is, I want to compare it almost to the professional league in Europe. You're getting the best of the best, and you're playing for the idea of your school as well. So it's similar for those who have had the experience of playing on a national team in the States. Playing for a university, playing for a college is a similar feeling of pride, right? Like when you get to represent your country's flag, you have that extra pride, you have that responsibility, that extra energy to represent Team USA or whatever country you represent. And at Stanford and in college, you get that same experience. It's like, oh, you represent Stanford, you wear Cardinal, you have your classmates, your teammates that you represent. And there's that extra level that adds to it, which makes it a really, really fun game. But I would say the main difference from high school to college is everyone's good and the level is much higher. I jump up times 10. You're really escalating the level of play. It's a much more physical game and it's a lot more fast paced. So your mind, I feel like in high school, or I'm sure a lot of people who play, in the youth age groups in Europe, for example, there's probably 2 or 3 good players on each team and they do everything. And that's very normal, I feel like, in water polo, depending on where you come from. There's always like 2 or 3 people on each team that do everything. College comes, everyone's good. It's not about 1 or 2 players. You really have to know the system. It's really fast paced. Your intelligence needs to improve. It's way more physical. So it's really fun. The level goes up tremendously, and that pride, that school pride, really comes into play as well. Yeah. So NC2A is kind of the Olympics of college water polo here in the States and of college sports. So, a lot of people watch NC2A, March Madness of basketball. But for water polo, if you make it to the NC2A tournament, that is the Olympics of college sport. So you're fighting all season to improve as a team, to improve as an individual, but be ready for that end tournament, just like European championships. And so it is one of the best tournaments you get to play in, similar to a Euro champs or an Olympics. It's like everything you've worked for, everything you've been thinking about is for that one moment. And so I was really fortunate. I was able to be in 4. I only was in college for 4 years, but I was able to be in 4 NC2A finals, and our team won 3 of them. So I would say my worst memory is definitely my freshman year, which was coming right off the Olympics, which was kind of a tough year to go from the Olympics and transition. That was very interesting. But that year we lost to USC, who had, Ani Esbar from Spain. You had the Hungarian goalie. You had Hannah Buckling on USC. So actually a lot of current Olympians. And on our team as well, we had Mel Seidemann, Annika Dries, Kylie Newschultz. So it was a super fun game to play, but we lost in 5 overtimes. So that just explains how tough that game was. Ani Esbar actually scored the winning goal in sudden death in the 5th overtime. So that was definitely a dagger to the heart, but it was a great game to play in. And that was my freshman year. And I think after that, something really clicked for me, that no matter what it comes down to, I want to be the best I can be at those NC2A finals. And I want our team to be the best we can be at those NC2A finals. And after that, we won all 3, which was really fun for me to come out as champions the rest of my time at Stanford. And I was captain for 2 of those years, which has always been, extra pride, especially in that college environment, because it really is about who's the best team at the end of the day, right? And you'll hear me say that. I mentioned my family. The team is always the most important to me. And my favorite motto always is the team always wins. It's the team that always wins. It's not one player, two players, or the team that plays well once. It's the team that can work together best. It's the team that trusts each other, that's worked hardest together and can be there for one another in those big pressure moments. So I would say one of my favorite memories of NC2A and winning those championships is just being with those teams in that moment. You know, you go through so much together. You're in school together, you're in water polo, you're doing social events together, you live together. So to be able to be that close to your team and play for them, and when that whistle goes off and you've won an NC2A championship with those women, is really, really magical. So that's something that I hold dearly, is just looking into my teammates' eyes after we won those NC2A finals. And then I guess two specific moments. One, my junior year, we got to play at home. So we got to play at Stanford in the NC2A final. All of my family, all my friends were there. All of Stanford was cheering. It was probably the biggest game I've played in the States. We had thousands of fans, which is abnormal for water polo here in the States. And we ended up winning by 1 goal. Kylie Nuschel scored the winning goal. And I just remember the whole crowd like, erupting. And to win at home is really, really special. And then my senior year, similarly, kind of same situation against the same team. We were playing my senior year after the Rio Olympics, came back. We were in the final, 7 seconds left, I believe, to go, and we were tied. And we ran a play that I had been practicing all season, and would ask my teammates to stay with me after practice to practice this play, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get a foul. I knew if I got the ball, I had to be able to do something with it. And we ended up running that same play that I had been practicing and never worked in practice. And I ended up scoring the winning goal my senior year to take our team, you know, to the to win NC2As. And so those two moments were really, really special. But overall, I would say just winning with your team and with Stanford, and being able to bring the Stanford name, that NC2A trophy and championship, was really special. It's really hard because I love water polo, everything about it. Even when I try not to, I stay around it. So I feel like if I wasn't doing water polo, or if I had retired after college, I'd probably still be involved in the sport, in one way or another, whether it was, you know, helping coach or helping. For me, women empowerment is really important, and inspiring our youth is really important to me. So I would definitely still be involved in things I'm doing today. But I would probably be doing what I already am, but just more full time. So I actually started a company called 6-8 Sports with fellow Olympian Tony Azevedo. And our focus is to help grow the sport and to help modernize it, right? Like you guys have such a great mission with Total Water Polo to bring the sport, you know, more publicity and more exposure and get it out there more. And with 6-8 Sports, you know, we want to bring data and technology to the sport. We want to help kids reach their full potential, like Tony and I were so fortunate to do. So right now, I still work with 6-8 Sports. It's still my company, but I'm also training for the Olympics. So if I could be a full-time entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship is definitely, you know, what I studied at Stanford. I got my master's at Stanford in management and engineering. So I would probably just be doing that full-time. And that's where I would be at, is full-time, probably entrepreneur, businesswoman for 6-8 Sports, and still doing, you know, women empowerment, you know, events and speaking to kids and trying to inspire our youth in sport are really important to me. Ooh. Badass, funny, friend, legend, smart, and giving. Coach, legend, uh, Tough. Ooh, fun, uh, challenging, dream. Team, fun, and tough. Family, team, and dreamer. So I kind of have a few moments that pop up in my head. So in the States, we have same really everywhere. You have your youth team, your junior team, and then eventually the senior national team. And I remember when I was, I think, 11, I made the 14 under team. So it was a bit older for me. But like I had mentioned, I always played older, just from a youth level up. And that, like, we got one USA swimsuit and one USA t-shirt, and there was like 40 of us, and I just remember feeling so proud and so fortunate. And I remember looking around and seeing, like Kylie Nuschel and Annika Dries, girls who I had played against as competitors. And, they were my matchup. And there was all this like, oh, she's on this club, she's on this club. And the second we got on and were wearing the USA shirt, it was really this humbling experience of, wow, we actually get to play together now. How cool is that? I get to play with Kylie Nuschel. This is amazing. So that really gave me a taste of how fortunate it is to be on that national team level and get to play with the best, and people I admired and looked up to. So that was my earliest kind of experience there. And, I basically wore that USA suit on my flight home. I wore that USA suit to bed. I was just like so happy. Um, and then when I was 15, I had been doing water polo, junior team and all that stuff. And when I was 15, I got invited to play on the senior B team in Canada at Canada Cup in 2009. And a few veterans were there who were just helping us. So like Lauren Wanger was there. I believe like Betsy Armstrong was there too. So Olympians, and I was just in awe and so inspired by them. And obviously I knew who they were because they played with Jess, my sister, in 2008. But that was my first B team big international trip. And from that, I got a call after that trip. I got a call from Adam Krikorian, and he invited myself, Mel Seidemann, and Kylie Nuschel and said, hi, we would like you guys to also play in the senior national team tournament next week in Southern California, which is called Holiday Cup. And as you can imagine, I was like, me? You want me to come? Like, are you sure you got that right? Maggie Steffens, that's who you want? And I was just so excited. I was also so nervous. After watching the 2008 games where I got to watch my sister play and unfortunately watch them, lose that final, but still win silver, I just was craving to share that experience with her and craving to be in the water with those group of girls. And that dream kind of came true 1 year later. It was, about September, or no, it must have been December of 2009. That was my first real tournament with the senior team. And I was 15, I think, or 16 at the time. So that was my first experience. And as you could tell, I was very, very excited, but very nervous. I basically, everything they did, I did. So if they wore a jacket with, whatever, and we're drinking coffee, then the next day I showed up wearing that same jacket, those same pants, and drinking a coffee. So I just wanted to fit in and impress them. And I was nervous about making mistakes. And these were my idols, Brenda Villa, Betsy Armstrong, Lauren Wanger, Heather Petrie, my sister, Courtney Mathewson, like all people I looked up to, all people who I had their signatures in my room, like people that I would watch in college and on the national team. So to be able to play with your idols was pretty magical and also pretty scary. But I was so fortunate, and obviously has led to a great pathway since. No, no, we have no rituals like that. I think something that's been really special about the national team here in the States is there's not a hierarchy. It's not, oh, you've been on the team the longest, or you're the oldest, or you have the most medals, so you get to do other stuff, and the youngest have to do this. Like, it's always been, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you've accomplished. You also set up the pool, you also clean up the pool, you do the dirty work, you bring the water bottles. And I think that's something that is really special about our culture. And it's a really humbling part of our culture, and part of our respect for each other and for the team. So we don't have any stuff like that. I would say it's more subconsciously, internally. Like, for me, when I first joined the team, like I mentioned, I just would watch and observe, and whatever they did, I wanted to do. Right. And then second, it's about earning, and this is our 6-8 sports motto, is earn your number. Our culture is all about, yes, you get an opportunity to play on the team, but it's your responsibility to put in the effort, put in the work, put in the dedication, commit yourself every single day to earn your spot. But more importantly, earn the trust and respect from your teammates. So if I could come every day and be the best I can be and put my best foot forward in everything I did, I could earn the respect from Brenda Villa, from Jess, from Petey, from all these girls that have been playing for 20 plus years, who are my idols. And once you've gotten that, that is like the best, best prize you can win. And that's what makes, sports so special, I think, and even my relationships with them so special. So if anything, that's our ritual when you join the team, is you're part of the team. You come in, you're part of the team, but you've got to, just as I do every day now, you kind of want to earn your number. You want to earn the love and trust and respect from your teammates, and that's what makes it so special. Yeah. So it's definitely a huge, huge, huge honor. And it's a very humbling honor, because if you look at our team, not just current, but past, um, we have some of the best players out there to ever play the game, and some of the best leaders. And I think that's something that's really special about our team, and the USA culture is, you know, I'm not the captain and doing all of these things. That is just a part of my role. Right. And just like the people I play with, Mel Seidemann, Ashley Johnson, Rachel Fattal, Maddie Musselman, the Fisher sisters, all of them are leaders. All of them are captains as well in their own role. And that's something, hopefully, even at Stanford, I always wanted to lift the people up around me. That's something that's always been really important, is empowering others to be their best and believe in themselves. And for me, I'm really fortunate, because being captain is really easy on this team, because I have a bunch of captains around me, right? I have a bunch of leaders around me, and a bunch of empowering women around me. So my job at times is, a lot of times I just wear that captain sleeve, in a sense, or I'm doing the interviews and conversations. But it takes a whole village of leaders to be the team we are. So I'm very fortunate. My team makes it really easy on me. But it definitely is an honor, I think, to just represent your team. Like I said, my team and family is the most important thing to me. And so to be able to help lead a team and help lead this water polo family we have is such a gift that I've been fortunate to wear as that captain name. But anybody really could be captain on our team. We have incredible women, but I'm very, very honored to be labeled that and to take on that responsibility. And I take it very seriously. You'll see me in the water a lot. I'm always talking, as you can tell. I answer every question with a lot of talking, but that's kind of my role in the water, is leading through communication and directing traffic, and knowing how to empower others around me, just like my teammates. Mel knows exactly how to lead me, and Ashley Johnson and Rachel Fattal know exactly how to lead me and my other teammates. So huge, huge honor, very humbling. But like I said, I mean, my team makes it really easy on me. Okay, so the last one I remember is back in 2013. Two of them actually. That was a rough year for me. That was when we lost the NCAA championship. Then following that, we got third at World League Super Final, and then we ended up getting fifth uh, at Worlds in 2013 in Spain. So that was the last time, and it was a unfortunate 2013 year. That's a year I learned a lot. I think that's something that's great that happens with failure and loss, is you're able to reflect and learn a lot, and you're able to grow, which was great. But that was the last time I remember, not winning gold. The score doesn't always show it, but these teams that we play against are the toughest competition you can meet. And I think what's really special about the women's side is, and I guess I'm not on the men's side, so I don't know, but on the women's side, there are 8, 9, 10 teams that are really close in competition. And so every time we play those teams, I and our team need to bring our best. We saw it. We lost to Australia a year ago. Australia has always been really strong. Holland is always one of our biggest competitions. Spain, obviously, we've met them in so many finals. Russia is one of the scariest teams to play against. Italy, Greece, they're the most creative teams. China, even Japan is showing up. There's so many teams out there. Canada, as always, I mean, we're rivals with Pan Am. So for us, we go into every game knowing we have to bring our best game in order to get the results we want. Because I mean, these teams and the women players as well are top notch. So especially when it comes to Tokyo, and we haven't played. We, because of COVID, we haven't had games, and so this is going to be a new year for us, and we're going to have to really step it up in order to be the team we want to be. Yeah, I get asked that a lot, and I think something that gets it across really well is, just because I've accomplished that, or just because I've lived out that dream, doesn't mean I still don't have it. I still have the Olympic dream. I still have the dream of representing my country and being the best I can be, and helping our team be the best we can be, and doing it on the biggest stage. So that dream, that Olympic dream, it still lives on. Just because I've been fortunate enough to live it, and fortunate enough to have some success in that dream, it's still there. It still lives in here, and so that's a huge motivator to me. And then two other quick things I would say is, I mentioned family and team. That is my biggest value. And if I can be a part of something that's bigger than myself, and get to be around these women that I'm around every single day, and figure out this puzzle of how do we bring all these women together. And this is why, being a leader is so fun as well, is how can we bring all these people together from different walks of life, different experiences, different dreams and visions, and make one unit. And if we can create that one special unit, I mean, chills. That is the best feeling, when you're a part of a team that is fully committed to one another, and you're able to achieve that dream you have together. So being a part of that, I mean, you can see how excited I get, in doing that, not only with my Steffens name and my family and getting to make them proud, but also getting to experience that with these women, my friends, my teammates, and to achieve our dreams together and grow. That is motivation at its highest. And then lastly, just individually, I still think I can be better. I still think I have a lot more to learn. I think I have a lot more to grow. I think I have a lot more to improve on. And so I'm excited to fill that space, and I'm motivated by that self-improvement to see, okay, what can I learn next? How can I improve? And with that improvement comes team improvement as well. So I would say those three things, my Olympic dream still lives on. being a part of this team and the opportunity to represent my country, my Steffens name, and my teammates, and get to play with them and fight with them and achieve a dream together. I mean, fight for a dream, whatever it is, that is the most special thing, being a part of a team. And then lastly, just self improvement. Like, I think I can get better. So those are three things that definitely motivate me a ton. Pizza, assist, sun. Oh, movie. Uh, well, I'd want to get Olympic gold. So world championship gold, and then, you know, don't get silver. You got to get gold. Ooh, lom. Oh, that's too hard. I can't. I can't do it. That's too hard. So that was a really hard decision for me at first. I was really, really scared. I had never gone abroad by myself. I never played professionally. I knew nothing about playing in Hungary. You know, a lot of girls on our team had played in Italy, had played in Spain, had played in Greece. So I was more familiar with that. But no, like, national team player that I knew of that I was close with had played in Hungary. So I had like no one to talk to. I had no, it just like you're talking about with kids, to be able to see a role model, it makes it a bit easier, right? And so I was really nervous. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know the language at all. It's very foreign. Um, and then I remember thinking, I was 25 or about to turn 25, and I remember thinking, wow, Hungary is, or at least Budapest to me, is like the heartbeat of water polo. You know, like you were saying, even where else other than Market Island and Budapest are you going to get thousands and thousands of fans? You know, there's this like heartbeat to water polo in Hungary. There's so much history there. And I was thinking, wait, I could go play there. I could get to experience that. Um, I knew it would be a huge challenge, but like I mentioned, since I was 8 years old, I love the challenge. And so I was getting really excited about it. And then in 2017, we played Worlds in Market Island in Budapest, and we were fortunate enough to win that. And the second I left that tournament, I said, "This is a city I need to play in. This is a country that I want to be, involved in." And this water polo community is really, really special. And so right then and there, I remember calling up Tibor, Benedict, who obviously very sad, year. Um, but I remember calling him and saying, I would be honored to come play for your club. And I will say, for example, Rita Castelli, I wanted to play with her. Like, and I've told her that she's one of my closest friends. I think she's one of the best players in the world, and I wanted to learn from her. I wanted to play with her. And I wanted to watch her shoot. I wanted to practice. I wanted to mimic what she did. I knew I would learn a lot from her. And I did. She's one of my favorite players I've ever played with. I loved playing in Hungary. It was such a cool experience for me, much different than America. I remember I'd walk past a bar and water polo was on TV. And I was like, what? This is amazing. Like, why don't we have this in the States? And also, like I had mentioned, getting to play, for Tibor, although he wasn't our main coach, he was the director. I would meet with him a lot and ask for his advice. And, obviously being the best player more or less of all time, I wanted to learn from him and kind of pick his brain, even about playing for such a winning team. And so I was really, really fortunate to have had that time with him as well. So definitely the people that were at UVSA, like Rita and Tibor and some of the other girls, Gabby, Shooks, they inspired me to want to go play with them. And we had I loved playing in Hungary. I would definitely go back. So similarly, That was a really tough decision because I loved playing at UVSA and I loved playing with that team. But for me, I would go back to UVSA for sure. But in that moment, I decided I needed another challenge. I needed a new challenge. And I also needed to think about my life outside of water polo. And, I remember having a tough conversation with Rita and asking for her help because, my dad's from Puerto Rico. I have Spanish roots and I really wanted outside of water polo to experience that. I wanted to try to be fluent in Spanish. I wanted to live out my culture. I wanted to connect with my dad's side of the family even more by living in Spain. And so I ended up choosing, obviously, Spain had Sabadell and I got to play with those amazing players, but I eventually chose Spain, you know, actually for outside of the water to grow me as a person, to get more in touch with my Steffens side of the family. And that was really, really special that I was able to do that. And I'm glad I did because I remember thinking, you never know what could happen, right? You got to take an opportunity when it happens. And COVID hit. So I actually wasn't able to go back to Europe this past year. So that was really special to me to kind of channel outside of the water polo world values of mine, such as family and Spanish and that culture. But obviously, I also wanted to play with Micah and with Ani and with Bea and with Laura and get to play with the best. Micah by far is like probably one of the best centers to have ever played the game. Ani as well, right? And so for me, just like I wanted to play with Rita in Hungary and learn from her, I also wanted that experience in Spain in the pool and get to play with the best and learn from them every day in practice, not just play against them in games, but if I can play with them in practice and, ask them. Ani was always great at this, her and I would stay in after and like practice different shots. And I was able to learn a lot from them. I learned a lot from them. And just to be able to be around greatness like that is going to help me get better as well. Yeah, so I would say, the states don't have professional water polo, so it's really hard to compare. But I would say in the states, I would say we definitely train more hours. Not to say that that's better or worse, but just a comparison, we definitely train a lot more hours. But in Spain and Hungary, at least where I have experience, I feel like there's this bigger sense of professionalism. And, when you go there, you really do feel like a professional athlete. You're taking care of yourself. You're part of the club you play for, and there's this great sense of pride to be a professional athlete for that club and for the city you live in. And that's why I loved playing in Budapest, Barcelona as well. But in Market Island, you're there and you walk around the town and the water polo games are on TV and there's that pride to represent your city. Um, and that's similar to college water polo in the States. Like I had mentioned, you feel pride to represent Stanford and that college. And then I would say with that professionalism in Europe, I think there's like great opportunity there because in the States with college water polo, once you graduate, you're done. And hopefully we can create a professional league in the States. That's a dream of 6/8 Sports as well. But, when you play in Europe, you can keep playing. Your dream to play doesn't die with an age, or doesn't die if you win or lose. It's if you want to play, you earn it and you keep playing. And I really loved that. I got to play with, a variety of age groups, older, younger, and learn from them and get to play with them. And they got to keep playing the dream that they love. So I think that was really special. But I loved playing in Europe. I think European Championships is one of the best tournaments out there, just like NCAAs for college. And I was really fortunate to play in those as well. And so I would go back to Europe in a heartbeat. I mean, no doubt about it. I loved playing there. I think something that's really special as well is you get to play in the States. Since we don't have a professional league, we don't see people from Europe or the athletes from Australia unless it's summer and we're playing in a big FINA tournament. Whereas when you're playing professionally, you get to see these people every single, weekend. And you gain a lot of respect for athletes, the players, for coaches, the teams, the sport itself. And so I really loved that. I loved playing in Europe. I'm a big advocate for it. I think it's a great way to grow and learn. And outside of the pool, I think there's a lot of culture you can learn, and a lot of perspective you can gain. So big advocate for playing in Europe. Yeah. If I'd like to tell a story that I think encompasses this really well, at least in the water polo world. I've been very fortunate to be a female athlete and live out my dream and go to Stanford, and I had a very fortunate life. I understand that. And I'm very grateful for that. But that's not every single girl's life out there. And when I was playing in Hungary, I was really close to Croatia and Serbia, and I obviously Croatia is one of the best places to play in the world for men. And I wanted to go to Croatia. I wanted to go to Dubrovnik. I wanted to do like a trip. So I went to Croatia and I went to Dubrovnik, loved it. I would go back there in a heartbeat as well. And I had told myself I'm going on vacation. I was with my boyfriend at the time, and we saw this beach, this cove. And that was the first time I had ever seen a water polo course just freely out in the ocean, not put there for a tournament. It was like a backyard ball. And I had told myself, like, I'm not playing water polo, this is vacation, but I couldn't resist. So, like, this is the most beautiful place in the world with a water polo course. I got to go play. So I end up swimming out to the course. This is right in Dubrovnik, like right in this cove, kind of to the side. And there was some men playing there. And I went up, and I obviously don't speak their language, but I said, hey, like, can I pass? They obviously didn't know who I was. This was right after 2017 Worlds. So the Croatian men had just won, and the USA women had just won. And I said, hey, can I pass with you? And the look they gave me was shock. They're like, you want to play? Like, you can pass? And I didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, like, I'd like to play with you, And so they looked at me just confused, and then they passed with me, and they kind of looked at me and they're like, okay, she knows what she's doing. And they were talking about how the Croatian men's team had just won world championships. And I said, wow, that's so awesome. Like, good for them. I didn't mention anything about myself or our team. And then I said, oh, well, I actually play. I play water polo as well. And they were like, what? Like, you play? And I was like, yeah. And he threw the ball to me, and there was a goal. And he goes, shoot it. Shoot the ball. Like, totally questioning, my ability. And so, of course, I was like, yeah, of course. And I got up like as big as I could. I got like hips out of the water, and I skipped it like as hard as I could. And it went like skip, bar down, hit the bar, and goal. And the guy turned to me and goes, who are you? And I go, oh, I play for the USA team, the women's team, and we just won as well. And he was like, what? Oh my gosh. And he called all of his buddies from the beach who would play just for fun masters there. And I ended up playing 3-on-3 with all these Croatian men for like 2 hours. And that story, I think, is so amazing because you don't realize that as much here in the States, right? Like, I've been very fortunate as a female to get a lot of opportunities. But for example, in Croatia, I know they have a women's team, but I've never played against them. Like, that opportunity hasn't been provided. And that happens in Hungary as well. There's many more men's teams, and in Spain, it's similar. So, and in the States, there are way more men's college programs, and there are a lot more boys players. So for me, it kind of like triggered this passion of how can we help women and girls believe that they can also play? And then how do we provide the opportunity for them, right? Like you said, you have to believe it. And I'm fortunate because I know how to play water polo. So I wasn't scared to go talk to these, random Croatian men and play 3-on-3 with them. And it was cool actually when I got this total water polo award, that one of the guys that I had played 3-on-3 with that I randomly met actually messaged me on Instagram. And he was like, wow, that is so cool. Like, what an honor. And we got to play together. Like, can't wait to play some beach water polo when you come back to Croatia. So, it's so cool to see how one little action can maybe change someone's perspective and see, okay, there's a lot of opportunity here for young girls to play the sport as well. Um, so although that's a very small story and example, I think you can see my passion in helping girls see that they can be, the water polo player or soccer player or basketball player they want to be as well. We just have to provide more exposure and provide more opportunity.